guys, this is Prince Kenya back with another video, and today we are honored to have a guest in the house. And without much further ado, let me invite my guest on the other side. Hello, hello.
Hello, hey Prince Jack.
Hi.
How you doing?
Yeah, I am fine, and you?
I'm doing good.
Oh, thank you so much. So maybe we start with a small introduction. You tell us who you are, where do you come from, and things like that.
Yeah, so my name is Brian Kamal, or people call me Beast. So I actually have my channel. It's called The Beast Show. So you can go check it out too.
Yeah,
So I'm from Nairobi, Kenya, somewhere called Githurai.
yeah.
And currently I'm here in US. I was a student, I graduated, and now I'm working. I do IT.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
So I think that's why you are here in this channel, so that at least you can take us through your journey, how you came here in the US, and how far things are on your side. So let me just ask a little bit. Did
Yeah.
you ever in your life, like when you were schooling, thought of coming in the US?
Yeah. When I was in high school, I used to know I wanted to come to study in the US. I used to want to come here and do IT. So it's something that I
Yeah,
always wanted to do. Yeah.
yeah. So how about the education in Kenya? Take us through how was your education in Kenya until you graduated? Did you go to university? Things like that.
Yeah, so my journey is I've done a lot of things in regards to education. So when I was in high school, I went
Yeah.
to Thika High School. So when I was in Thika High
Mm-hmm.
School, my class teacher used to run a program for like exchange studying abroad. So when I was in high school, I had one time I had gone for a math contest, and then when I came back to school, my friends I had already told my friends that I want to go study in the US. I used to tell them for college I want to go to the States and study there. So when I was out for the math contest, our class teacher had told them about the going to study abroad and the exchange program. It was a 1-year program, but if you get accepted, everything is paid off. So my friends, when I came back, my friends were like, told me about the program. They were like, "You always tell us you want to go to the States. You should apply. You should apply. You should apply." So I decided to apply. So I went to my teacher. I told her, "Hey, I want to make the application." She said, "Just write me an essay and tell me where you want to go do this exchange program." So I wrote my essay very well, and then there was my friend. His name was Mau Mau. We used to nickname him Mau Mau. I don't know where he is right now. So he used to be very good in English.
Yeah.
So when I wrote my essay, I took it to the guy. I told him, "Hey, please proofread this essay. If there's anything you need to change, just change, make it perfect." So he proofread. He did a proofreading, and then he gave me, and then I gave it to the teacher, and then that's how the process started. The process was took about 6 months. So we had to do the first interview. I qualified, and then they came to my home to ask my parents whether they give me permission for me to do the exchange program. So they came home. My parents said they're okay with it, and then we had to go to Mombasa, and then we were like 40 of us, but they needed about I think 18 to go for the exchange program. But they had, like a lot of people applied, maybe like 2,000 people, but they were coming shortlisting. So by the time we went to Mombasa, we had 40 people. We stayed there for a week, but they needed about 17 people. I think 17 or 18. I can't remember well because it's been around about 8 years now. So yeah, we went to Mombasa. I stayed there for a week, and then I actually didn't qualify that at that moment, because there's another guy from my school, because at Thika High School, there were 6 of us. Out of the 6 of us, 2 of us qualified for the first step. So my friend, me, the other guy, 2 of us remained that we went to Mombasa. He was told he qualified in December. So for me, I didn't qualify in December. So, but I wasn't selected. But around April, I think somebody else was removed from the program. So there was a slot. And then they called me. They said, "Hey, no, they didn't call me. They actually called my mom, because I remember I had come from school, and then my mom told me, "Hey, Miss Lillian was our teacher. Miss Lillian said, "Oh, you're qualified." And then I told my mom, "No, I didn't even take it serious because I told my mom, oh, people were selected in December, so I didn't take it serious."
Yeah.
And they went. And then I came back home. My mom was like, "You're selected. I told you, call her." And then my mom was like, "You wanna bet? How much you wanna bet?" And then I called, and then she told me, "Oh, tomorrow you gotta go get the passport." I didn't even have a passport at that moment. They told me go get the passport, and then I stayed in Houston for no, that's sorry. I went too fast.
Okay, don't worry about it. So what are some of the conditions that the program were checking for a person to be selected? What are some of the conditions?
Oh, I think you have to be below, I believe, 16 or 17 years old. And then you need to have, I think, a B+ grade for all when they do the aggregate of all from Form 1 to where you join. I was in Form 3 when I started applying. I was in Form 2, but I came to because I started the application when I was in Form 2 like that term, but I came to US when I was in Form 3 second term. So from Form 1 to Form 2, they did the aggregate of all the exams I did. Yeah.
How did you take the information that you have been told you have been selected? Did you get frustrated? Did you pass the message to your friends, to your classmates? Tell us how you felt.
No, at the moment we had closed school. We were on holidays, so I didn't really tell anybody. I was excited, but I'm stressed at the same time because I didn't even have a passport. So the guys who were selected in December, they already had time to look for the passport and all the documents they needed. But for me, I didn't have time because they're telling me we're gonna leave in like the next month, and then I don't have a passport. I need to do the medical, So some of those things you have to do them yourself, and then they're gonna refund you the money that you spent. So I have to look for the money to do all those things, even though they're gonna refund you, but you have to do them yourself. So it was more of like a stress at the moment. And then I think after I got my passport, I told my aunts and uncles, and then they were like, wow, they couldn't believe it, So, but I was very excited. Yeah.
Oh, great. And now, take us through the journey. Like you have applied for a passport. What are some of the next procedure after getting a passport before you leave the country?
So this one was easy because, as I told you, this was with the J1 visa, and it was being sponsored by the U.S. Department of State. So things were kind of easy with the J1 visa because I came with the exchange program is called the American Field Service, but they have different subgroups. So the group that brought me is called the Kennedy Lugard Youth Exchange and Study Program. So they have volunteers and they guide you through the process, So when I got the passport, all of us that were selected, now the 17 of us, we went to the embassy on the same day. We had the appointment at the same time. So it was just me. When we went there, you had to go with your parents because I was 16, I think, at the moment. So you go with your parents and then you go to the window, and then they asked me, it's more at that point, since it's sponsored by the US Department of State, I think it was easier. You already know you're going to get the visa because they're the ones who are sponsoring, So when I went there, they just asked me my name, they asked me the school I was going, and then they asked me what grade I am. So by that moment, I didn't know, what it meant. So when they asked me what grade I am, I said A.
Sure.
So
yeah.
But I wasn't supposed to say A. I was supposed to say A. I was supposed to say like grade. But then I was in Form 3, so I was supposed to say grade 11. And then they're like, oh, that's fine. And then they said your visa is approved. So, and then from there, we after a week, we all came. But with the exchange program, the 17 of us, we were being hosted by a US family. So we all went to different places. So I lived in Texas, in Houston. I had other two of my friends, they lived in California. Another guy lived in Oregon. One guy lived in Texas, but in Dallas. So so you just stay with a US family. They host you for the whole year, and then you go to a US high school. It's more of like you learning the American culture.
Sure. Yeah. So you have taken us through an experience on the embassy. So after getting a visa, how did you got the visa? Did they mail you the visa at your address, or how did you receive the visa after the interview?
So I didn't get the visa myself. So since it was through the AFS, so the people who were in charge, like the volunteers, all our visas, they were sent to them. So I didn't even get my passport till the day of my flight. So they had my passport. It was sent to the people who were volunteering. So they had my passport. So the day that I was flying to Texas, that's the day that I got my passport. So I think they just put their address. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So how long did it take since the time you went to the embassy and the time that you fried out from Kenya?
Oh, maybe like I'd say maybe like 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? What are some of the things that you are doing? Maybe they guided you, things that you are supposed to do while you are waiting to fry out.
I was very excited, as I said. So the things I did were I didn't really do any preparation because before we flew out, they took us to a hotel where we stayed for like a week, and then they were telling us what to expect, like what clothes to carry, what we need to carry. If you might need to carry some food that you're gonna miss, like those who like Royco and stuff like that. So they were preparing us on what we had to do. But in terms of me preparing, I had to go back to school and I had exams. But yeah, so when I did my exams, I was like, should I take them seriously? Because I was like, I'm leaving anyways. So, but I mean,
Yeah.
I still did my exams and I took them seriously. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So taking you back a while at the US Embassy Nairobi. So for your case, you had no any requirement that you were supposed to provide, like?
I just needed like a family picture. That's about it. Yeah.
And maybe you can tell us about some of the requirements that those who apply for student visa in Nairobi US Embassy are required.
Oh, so no, this one is a J1 visa. So right now, when I came back to US, because I had to go, that was a 1-year program. So that was a J1 visa. So I had to go back to Kenya and now apply for the F1 visa. So for the F1 visa now, is gonna have, and the requirements are different because the F1 visa I did it myself, but the J1 was being handled by the US Department of State. So that's what I'm saying. Things were kind of easy because you're coming to US and the US Department of State is handling everything. So things are kind of easy. But when I came, so I lived in Houston and then I left after the year, came back to Kenya, and then I did my KCSE. And then when I finished my KCSE, that's when I applied to school. I did the SAT, the first thing. I did the SAT. So the SAT is like KCSE, but it's an exam for like college entry. So I did the SAT, and then after doing the SAT, I applied to the University of West Georgia, and then they gave me 70% scholarship. So when they gave me the scholarship, now I had to look for the rest of the fees, the amount to pay. So that's where the bank statements come in. So you have to show the bank statements to show proof of financial stability. You have to have like 2 passport size pictures to take the embassy. You need to take the form I-20. The form I-20 is a form that the school is gonna give you when you get accepted. So you use the I-20 to, it has like your school, your information, the major you're gonna do. It shows how much the school is gonna be and how much funds you have. And the I-20 is what you're gonna be using. Let's say if you wanna fly back to Kenya or out of country, you need the I-20. If you get an internship, it's put in the I-20. If you get a job, you put it on the I-20. So the form I-20 is the most important.
Yeah. So even we have jumped ahead before you take us to the experience of now you have tried with J1 visa, you have gone to Texas, Houston. How was the experience living with a friend, family, people of different race? How was the experience?
It was good, actually. It was good. It was more of like me learning a different culture and different people. I mean, there's some differences, sometimes you miss the food, the food here is, even if this Kenyan food is not authentic, even you can, you've been here a while now, if you want to eat ugali here, it's not the same like in Kenya. So that's some of the differences, and then remember, people from different cultures handle different things different ways because we all have different ways of life and
Hello,
lifestyle,
hello.
you know. So some things are gonna be different
Yeah,
as you live with people from, you know, even a different ethnicity.
sure.
Mm.
Uh-huh. So what was your biggest challenge when you came here, because you are a young age at that time? What was your biggest challenge before you adapt for that 1 year?
I think the biggest challenge was at first understanding people. I felt like people talk too fast, you know. Everybody's speaking English and I speak English. I feel like sometimes people couldn't understand what I'm saying and I couldn't understand what they're saying because I felt like they were talking too fast.
Yeah. So did you come on summertime or winter?
I came in August. So I came through in summer. It was very hot. I came about August 13th, 2014. Yeah.
So did you tell us, like, for that 1 year you came to continue with your high school education over here, or?
Yeah. So I went to it was a high school. I stayed there for like for a year. And so it didn't count. I mean, the high school, I mean, I got a diploma for here, but since I didn't really use that diploma anywhere, but because I had to come to Kenya and do the KCSE after the year. So I should have done my KCSE in 2015, but I ended up doing it in 2016. So
how is continue, please.
No, I'm done.
Okay, how is the difference between Kenyan high school education and American high school education? What are some of the differences?
I think high school in Kenya, especially in a boarding school, life is more fast-paced. You know, you have to wake up at 5. You have to be in class. You know, and like we stay with the same people. Like in Form 1 to Form 4, you're gonna be the same people. Here it's not like that. Here it's more of like the teacher stays in class. It's the students who come, different students come. So, you know, you don't stay like with you don't have the same class from Form 1 to Form 2 is not the same people. People choose their schedules, you know. If you want to do physics this time, you want to do, what do you call it? Yeah, either you want to do physics, you want to do pre-calculus, you want to do calculus. So you choose your own schedule. So the teacher remains in class. It's students who just come and leave. Other ones come and leave. So, but for us, we stay in the same class. Teachers come and go when it's not their lesson. And I felt like school in Kenya was harder compared to high school here. I felt like most of the things I was doing here, I had already learned them in Kenya. But when now I'm in college, it's different because college here is not really easy because it's a lot of homework and quizzes every day. So it's like college here, no, it's different now. College here is very fast-paced compared to college in Kenya.
Okay, now it has come a time for you to go back in Kenya. How did your family receive you? How are you feeling? How did the classmate back in secondary school in Kenya receive you?
Oh, when I came back home.
After going back to Kenya, how are you feeling, and how did your parents, your family member, and your schoolmates take you? Receive you?
When I was going back to Kenya, I was happy to see my family, but then I was sad. You know, I was used to like the American lifestyle, you know. So at that time, I was being complacent with it. But now, going back home, I was like, man, I gotta go back and eat githeri at high school.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, I had already prepared my mind because, you know, even when I was going, I already knew it was a 1-year program. And when I went back, and now people received me well. So I went to high school, and then I think the guys who I was supposed to graduate with, they were in Form 4. So I had to do Form 3 with the guys who are in Form 2 then. I had to be in class with them because the guys that I was supposed to finish high school with, they were already in Form 4. So I had to go to a class below me. So those were different people that I was not used to. So, you know, I was used to the other guys now who are in Form 4. So it was challenging at first, but, you know, I think I'm open-minded. I like to talk a lot, so I'm not really quiet. So it's easy for me to mingle with people, so it wasn't as hard for me.
Wow. So are there some of the things that maybe you are adapted doing here for that 1 year? Then when you went back to Kenya, they gave you a challenge.
Yeah, so when I was in Houston, high school is different. You have to just you wake up. I wake up like 7. I prepare. I have to be in school at 8. My host family used to drop me off at school, and then you do classes. Classes there were like, I think they were 55 minutes long. So and then you have an hour of break every day. Other than the lunch break, there's an hour break where it's just called study lab. It's time for you to do your homework or do other things. So and then there's lunch, and then after lunch you go like 2 more classes, and then you go home. We used to leave school like 3:30. So and then my host family comes, picks me up. But now when I come to Kenya, I have to be up like 5. So you
Yeah.
have to be up, you go take breakfast, and the class is cold, sometimes because there's some, and then you have to go to preps in the evening. So I'm not used to that, in Houston I'm leaving, go to my host family place, and that's fall. So but in Kenya now I have, there's preps 6 to like 10.
Sure.
You have prep, so I didn't have that. So but either way, I can't complain.
Yeah. So how long did you study in Kenya until you did your exam, the KCSE exam?
Oh, just I came back to Kenya in like July. So July I went to school the last semester. What do we call it? Third term. Yeah, that term. And then I did my third term from 3, and then the next year now the whole year, and then I did my KCSE.
Wow. So take us now through how you came to apply for the F1 visa.
Yeah, so now how I came. So when I finished my form 4, even before I got my results, I already started studying for the SAT. I had already done the SAT when I was in Houston, but that was the old SAT. Now they had a newer SAT. So I wanted to do this new SAT and see whether I could have improved my score. So as soon as I was done, the next day I went and booked the SAT. So I finished. I think the KCSE we finished like, I did the last exam like November 23rd. I went and booked the and then when I finished, I went home. I booked the SAT. The next date was like January 17th. I went and booked. So and then I came home. I bought a book. I started studying for the SAT, and then I already knew this. I had already gone on research the schools I wanted to go to, and University of West Georgia was one of the schools I liked, because as I said, when you're an international student, unless you're going to a very big school that has a very big name, try to go to the small school so that you can pay less, and I had already seen that the University of West Georgia, if you stay here for 1 year, you can start paying as a resident. You don't pay international fees, because they're like, with an international student, you pay like 4 times the fees of the regular. So if a regular American pays, a resident pays $2,000 per semester for tuition. If you're an international student, you'll be paying like $9,000. But the American pays $2,000. So I had already seen University of West Georgia, if you stay here for a year, you be paying resident or in-state fees. So I had already known is University of West Georgia or another school called Kennesaw, but Kennesaw was a bit expensive, and University of West Georgia and Kennesaw, they are the same level. So I was liking the idea of University of West Georgia more. And University of West Georgia is far away from the city, maybe an hour from the city. So that means things like rent, cost of living is cheaper, compared if Kennesaw is more close to the city, so rent is gonna be more priced. So I did the SAT. When the SAT, even before I got the SAT results took like, after I did the SAT, the results took like a month. So even before the results came, I had already contacted the schools, University of West Georgia, and then I told them I want to make the application. I did the application, and then now we were only waiting for the SAT, and then I got accepted. And then when I got accepted, that was like sometimes in March. And then I went to the embassy I applied for the embassy. Okay, I skipped something. Sorry. Even
Okay.
yeah. So in May, I went to Dedan and Kimathi University. I was doing computer science there. As I was that even though I knew I was coming here, I had already been signed. Or I don't know if I should say signed. I had already been accepted at Dedan and Kimathi University. Not signed, yeah, accepted at Dedan and Kimathi University for computer science. So I went there anyway because I was like, you know, you already don't know whether you're gonna get the visa or not. You know, you never know. You know, you can never be sure about the U.S. embassy because you can have all the documents. They're still not gonna give you the visa. So that was my plan B.
Yeah.
You know, I was still, even though I wanted to come to the States, if I stayed in Kenya and did like my bachelor's in computer science, I was like, I'll be fine. You know, I'm gonna walk my way through. So I did that, and then I went for the embassy in August, and then my visa was rejected in August. So because I was supposed to join in fall, and then so I went back to. I was heartbroken. I went back to Dedan Kimathi University, and then I was still doing my classes in computer science. I did my second semester, and then in December, I went to the embassy again. I remember it was December 14th, and then now when I went to the embassy, now that's when my visa was approved. So I joined the following year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Even before we reach to the second time that went for the embassy, what are the procedures of applying F1 visa at US Nairobi embassy or in a US embassy?
Okay, so
the process of applying F1 visa.
Yeah, so the process is, first of all, you need a passport, and your passport needs to be at least, I think, 6 months before it can expire. And then you need the school documents that I said is acceptance letter and the Form I-20. And then you need the bank statements to show the proof of financial stability. So each school is going to tell you the amount they want. Like for me to join the University of West Georgia, I had to show a bank statement with $32,000, which is like 3 right now, 3.5 million. By then the dollar was lower, so it was like 3.2 million. Now the dollar is a bit higher, so maybe 3.7 million now. So I had to show that. And then I had to carry 2 passport size photos. And then I carried like a title deed of my mom's land just to show. And they didn't ask, but I'm saying they didn't ask for it, but it's just to show proof of, ties. You're gonna come back home, Let me see what else I carried. My KCSE documents. I carried my KCSE documents. I carried my SAT documents, so they can show. They can even see I did the SAT. They can see the grade I got for my KCSE. So they wanna because realistically, they wanna know you're coming here to study. Because if they can see your grades are good, then to them, he's really coming to study.
Sure.
So because
another question about that, what are some of the preparation that you did while going for your first interview? Did you have somebody that guided you? Were you doing research online and something like that? What were some of your preparation?
So my preparation was, I went on Google and then I searched common F1 visa questions, and then I wrote them down. I had a list of like 100 of them. There are 100, but they can not ask you all 100. They can maybe ask you like 5 or 2 or 3. But I had a list of them, and then I went home and then I looked for the answers, and then I would go. I would tell my mom to ask me the questions. Then my mom would be like, we would do like a mock interview session with my mom. So she'd be like, try to interview me, and then she's asking me, what school are you going? So they're gonna ask you the school you're going, questions like that. When you go to the embassy, what school are you going? They're gonna ask you the address of the school. They're gonna ask you the address of where you're gonna be living. So just to make sure you're going there for school. And they're gonna also they might ask you for like an affidavit of support, whereby the person who is sponsoring you is signing to say they're responsible, to pay your fees. So my mom would ask me those questions. That was my only way of preparation. You know, I didn't pay anybody, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't recommend that somebody pays somebody to do that because, as I said, I don't recommend. This is just my opinion. You know, I don't recommend that you pay somebody money because people may ask for a lot of money for them to tell you. These questions are on Google, so why pay somebody when you can go on Google and see that stuff? And that person, even if they come and advise you, they're not the one giving you the visa. It's upon the person at the embassy to give you the visa, you know. So there's no way, you know, and those people charge people a lot. You know, in Kenya, they may probably somebody asking for like $30,000 or $200 just to tell you the stuff that is on Google, you know. Even if you go on YouTube, you're gonna see all those materials. Yeah.
Sure. So what experience did you learn from your first interview that you failed, and what made you like to be denied the visa first time?
So the first time, the person who denied my visa said my bank statement was forged, but it was not forged. I got it from my uncle. So, but you know, you can't really tell them anything. So he asked me, you know, what school I'm going to. I told him, and then on my visa, he could already see I've been to America before. So he asked me, "Oh, I see you've been to America. What were you doing?" I told him I was here for an exchange program in Houston. And then he was like, "Can I see your bank statements?" And then I showed it to him. And then he was like, "Oh, your bank statements are forged. Oh, sorry, you're a smart guy, but just go when you find the right statements, come back." And then that was it. There was no any questioning or anything. So at the moment, I don't know if I learned something from it, because I don't think I really learned anything from that, because it's not like they denied me based on an answer I gave them, you know. So all I just did was I went home and still prepared, you know. You wanna the thing is, when you go there, you wanna be prepared. When you go there, when they ask you about the school, you already know. When they ask you about your course, you already know. When they ask you about the address, you already know. So the thing is, you wanna be confident. You don't wanna go there as like, because if you ask somebody something, if you ask something and you're not prepared, you're gonna look nervous. But if you know the information that you're presenting, you're not gonna be nervous. You're gonna be straight to the, you don't wanna show these people you're nervous, you know.
Sure.
When you go there, you want to show, don't be overconfident, but don't be nervous. Show them you know what you're saying, you know? Yeah.
Sure. So what is the visa fee for applying F1 visa? And when you are denied the visa, is it non-refundable or refundable?
Oh, it's non-refundable. So at that time it was $160. Right now, I don't know. I think they added the fees. I believe they added the fees. I don't know what it is currently. But and something else I didn't say. Sorry, I forgot. People on your channel should forgive me. There's a service fee. You're supposed to pay a service fee. A service fee is like, it stands for something, student exchange. I don't know the meaning, but it's called service. So service is like, service is where you store all the information about yourself, the school, the major. Even if you change the school, you need to update that information on the service. And the service, you pay for it. So when I paid for the service, which is like maybe 5 years ago, it used to be $200. But currently here is $350. So they added almost by double the price. Yeah.
Sure.
So I'm gonna look. You can put the link down below and just write what service stands for. I'll send you the information, what the full meaning of service is.
Yeah, no problem. We can just add it in the description about this video.
Yeah, and you need this. You need to take the service to the embassy too. You need to go with that.
And another question: do you pay the money through M-Pesa for those who lives in Kenya, or which means do you pay the money?
Yeah. For the service, you pay through M-Pesa or Western Union.
How about the other visa fee now?
The visa used M-Pesa too. I think you can use M-Pesa, or if you have a credit or debit card, you can use that. But I use the M-Pesa.
Yeah. Now take us through the experience of your second visa interview.
Oh, so for the second one now, I didn't even have any hope. Hope. I was like, let me just go do it. The first time I had hope, because I was like, I was very confident. I've been to America. They should see that. But now I didn't even have any. I wasn't really. Let me not say confident. I wasn't like. I was just like, let me just go and see what happens. Let me just go see what happens. So when I went there, the first time it was an older guy who was interviewing me. But now the second time was a younger guy. He looked like 25, I believe, less than 30. So he asked me. I gave him the documents, and then he was like, "Oh, hey, how you doing? What school are you going to?" And then I told him University of Georgia. And then he asked me, "What are you gonna be majoring in?" I told him computer science. And then he was like, "Can I see your bank statements?" He looked at them, and then he was like, "Your visa is approved," just like that.
Wow. Yeah. So, are there some of the mistakes that maybe you did on your first visa interview that you changed to the second visa interview?
I think I probably I was nervous in the first interview. I probably was nervous, but I think in the second one I wasn't nervous at all. I was just being myself. I was telling myself, let me go and see what happens. If this is it, then this is it. If this is what God has said is gonna be for me, is it? So I just went there being myself. I think probably in the first one I was nervous a bit. Yeah.
Okay. How did you receive now the visa? After the visa being approved, how did you receive it back?
So I went and paid. When you get the visa, I think I paid, not sure, either 5,000 or 9,000. I'm not sure how much I paid because it's been 5 years. But I think it's 5,000. So I paid 5,000, and then maybe like 5 days later, they told me where I was gonna go pick my passport now with the visa. I think it was somewhere in Sarit Center. Yeah.
Now take us through you have already received your visas. Take us through the journey now before you relocate here, up to now when you relocated over here in the US.
Oh, now, so what I did, because I had already gone to school in Kimathi, I went there and then I told them to give me my transcript, which they told me they were gonna send me, but they didn't. So if the vice chancellor, Dedan Kimathi, is watching this video, they need to send me my transcript. They were supposed to send my transcript, they didn't. So they didn't send me my transcript. So because I wanted to get my transcript so that when I can come here, all the classes will transfer, so I wouldn't have lost those classes. You see. So that's the first thing I did. I went there to try to tell them they send me my transcript, which they said they will, but they would, but they didn't. And then now, they're preparing, looking for the flight, because school, I got my visa like, it was approved on December 14th. I got my visa maybe like 21st of December, but I'm supposed to join school in January 2nd. So I didn't have a lot of time. So it's looking for the flight now. I had to, because it's winter, I had to shop for clothes. But, just as not just for people, somebody who's coming here as a student, even if you're coming here on a green card, don't buy too many clothes. You're going to buy them when you come here.
Sure.
Yeah. So just buy the clothes you need. So I just bought some jackets, some warm clothes. And yeah, so I don't think I did much preparation. Yeah, just looking for the flight and visiting my family members, telling them, hey, I'm going, So yeah,
sure. So when you arrived over here in the US, did you go direct to the school, or tell us about now you have arrived here in the US?
Oh yeah, so I didn't go to the school direct. My cousin lives in Atlanta, so I went and stayed with my cousin for some time, and then now after that we went to school, and then I got an apartment. So off campus, so I got an apartment where I lived. I bought some few things like sufurias, pans, and stuff to cook. And then it was ideal because my cousin lives like an hour, 30 minutes from the school. So living with him was gonna be harder because, especially here in Georgia, the transport system is not good. So living in school made sense because I just walk, So I just had to walk from school going to my classes. So I went through orientation, and then they're gonna tell you well, I mean, just show you around the school where the dorms are, even though I didn't live in the dorm. And they're gonna show you just different buildings. You know, I mean, the school, when I first went to the University of Georgia, the school seemed big to me, but when I stayed there like maybe 4 months, I realized, don't get me wrong, it's a big school.
Sure.
But when I stayed there like 4 months, I'm like, I still see the same people.
Yeah. So how does it go, like renting an apartment as a student? Do you have to like use the papers of anybody you know, like your cousin? How did you go about renting an apartment?
So at first I didn't have a social security number. So I got my social security number later on when I got a job on campus. So when I applied for my social security card and my license and all that. So at first I used my cousin's credit because I didn't have credit yet. But later on, like now, as of now, I use my own credit because I built my own credit. But at that moment, I had to use his credit to get my first apartment. Yeah.
Is there some of the culture shock that you experience now the second time being in the US that from the first one that you were here at the J1 visa?
It wasn't as much, let me say. It wasn't as much other than I realized here, like for the students, you know, I would say the students, you know, like in Kenya, we are taught to like, it's like we fear our professors. But here I realize it's not like that. Students don't really fear the professor. They can tell them anything that comes on my mind. They can even raise their hand and say, hey, could you be loud? I can't hear you. But in Kenya, if I raise my hand up and start telling my professor, hey, he can probably tell me, hey, can you get off my class? You know, but here is more like there's freedom of speech. I can tell the professor, hey, can you be loud? I can't hear what you're saying. Like, you know, here there's more freedom of speech compared to Kenya. Kenya, I feel like we are taught to, we kind of like, I think we mix respect and fear. So instead of more like respecting them, they make us like fear the professors. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah. So how was your like life of study, first year, second year, before you catch up with things? Are there things that give you a hard times or something like that?
Yeah, so you know, I had to find a job. So I worked on campus. I used to be like, I've done different jobs on campus. My first job was a computer lab assistant, and you're supposed to work 20 hours a week during the normal school hours. So I did. First time I worked as a computer lab assistant. I also worked as a tutor. I tutor people in calculus, chemistry, math. I've also been like those people who during games assign tickets for people.
Yeah.
I've done that. I've also been a computer technician at school. I used to repair laptops for students. Yeah, those are some of the jobs I've done at school. So I did those jobs, and then when it was summer, I would do 40 hours a week. So yeah, and I would do like internships. So I applied for internships, and that's something that international students need to know. Apply many internships as much as possible because that's how I was able to learn my job. I did 2 internships, and the last internship that I did, they're the ones who offered me a full-time job.
I was asking how are you managing jobs and school, like studies and job? How are you managing?
It wasn't as hard for me because, as I said, the jobs that I did, like a computer lab assistant, you're just in the lab, so you're not doing a lot of work. So I stay in the lab. I watch what people are doing in the lab. If they have a question, I help them with how to use a computer, Excel, Word. So the rest of the time, if people don't show up in the lab, I just do my homework. So it was easy when I did that job. The same for tutoring. So if I tutor people, they book appointments with me. If I have to tutor them, they book appointments. And sometimes I do like study lab. That's where I go and stay at the lab. If somebody has questions, they come and ask me. So if nobody is coming, I do my homework. So those are the jobs I would encourage. Like me, I never looked. There's other jobs like you can go in the dining hall and serve people food. I didn't want to do those jobs because I realized since my school schedule, when you do some IT classes, they need a lot of study time. So I realized not to say that serving people at the dining hall is a bad job. No, just to say, as an international student, be smart enough and do a job that when you're there, you can be able to do your homework while working.
Sure.
Yeah.
So how many years did you study, and what are some of the lessons that you learned as an international student?
I studied for 4 years. I learned for 4 years, and some of the things I learned as an international student. First of all, you won't know information unless you go look for it. Don't be shy. I realize many Kenyan students, international students, are very shy, and they don't talk. You never know. You'll never, in my school, there are other Kenyan students, but I never knew them. But they're Nigerians and people from Ghana, I would always know them because I hang out with them and they're very talkative. But Kenyans, they're very quiet. And if you're quiet, you're not going to know information. The things like there may be a scholarship opportunity in school that you don't know. There could be an internship opportunity that other people know that you don't know. So be involved. Join African Student Association. Join those clubs. Even join, if you're doing IT, join the IT club. If you're doing chemistry, join the chemistry club. Don't just stay home and just do work. It's not all about doing work. Especially Kenyan people, they only know work and school. Work. No, don't just do work. Involve yourself with other people. That's how you know information, because information is not going to be brought to you. You have to go look for it, even when I applied for when I was applying for scholarships, if I know this scholarship is from which department is offering this scholarship, I would go there. If I knew this scholarship is only for information system students, I would go there myself and see the professor and say, hey, I applied for this scholarship and I've been doing well in school. Could you please consider me? And then they'll be like, what's your name? And they write it down. So you're increasing your chance. So look, if you want something, go look for it. Don't just. In Kenya we say ni kujituma, jitume.
Yeah, lazima ujitume. Yeah. So what is one of the greatest challenges that you faced as an international student for those 4 years?
The challenge, I would say more looking for an internship. It wasn't easy for the first 2 years because some companies don't want to hire international students because they don't want to sponsor them, because sponsoring somebody for the work visa cost a lot, thousands of dollars. So some companies don't want to do that, but you're gonna find but those are the small companies. The big companies, they don't really care because they know international students. Some of the international students are very smart, and they're gonna do it because if it's a big company, if they're gonna sponsor you and it costs them maybe 40,000 or 30 or 20, that's not something to them, that's maybe peanuts to them. But small companies, I feel they're very skeptical about that. But just do many applications, I did a lot of, because before I got my first internship, I did 100 applications. One time I did 200. If you do all those, you're not gonna lack some interviews there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Did you used to drive yourself when you were in school?
Yeah. So when I came here, I stayed here for a semester. I got my license, I got my social security card, and then I saved some money, and then I bought myself a car. So because here, man, you can here this house, you can survive without a car.
Yeah, how does it go buying a car as a student, international student?
No, buying a car, you just need your license. You don't really need any other documentation. If you have a license, you'll be able to buy a car. So I just went, the first car I just went on, I think I went on Facebook Market, and then I looked for somebody who was selling their car. and then I just gave them money, cash, and then they gave me the car, and then I went to the DMV, the Department of Motor Vehicle, and then I gave them my school. I think they asked me for my I-20, gave them my I-20, and I gave them my license, and then I registered the car under my name. Yeah.
Okay, now you have graduated. Take us now how you came like to look a job over here, because I expect like a student when he finishes school he is supposed to go back to Kenya.
Yeah, so when you finish school here, you don't necessarily have to go to Kenya. You have options. You either enroll in a master's program and continue continue with the school, or you look for a job. So you're given 60 days to get a job. So when you get a job, you get an OPT. OPT means you can utilize the American companies to train something in your field. So if you did like a STEM program, it's 3 years. If you did like a business related program or any other program, it's 1 year. So you get the OPT, and then if it's the 3 years, after 1 year, you have to extend it. And then after that, you can be applying for the work visa. So the work visa is like a lottery. So you make the application, and then they tell you whether you've been selected or not.
So how if you are not given, or you are not selected for the work visa, how will it go?
Oh, I got selected already.
I mean, like, now let us look if at all a person is not selected, or is it a guarantee that you must be selected?
No, it's not a guarantee. So if you don't, it depends. If you don't, you can ask your company to file for an extension. They can file extension, and then you get more 6 months so that you can get in the next lottery. So they extend, they pay, and then you extend, so you can see whether you get in the next lottery. If not, you go back to school. You do a master's program, or you go back home.
So sure. So let us say once you receive a work visa, you are allowed like to work forever, like here in the US, or it has a limit?
No, I think you work for like 3 years, and then you can renew it for another 3 years, and then from there, I think you can apply for the green card at that point. This company can
from like 6 years.
Yeah.
Well, so what are some of the advices that you can give to those people that are applying for the F1 visa or school here in the US, international students, but they are back in their country?
I would say when you want to just make sure your grades are good, because if you have good grades, it's easier for you to get scholarship opportunities. And I'd say go on Google, and it might take time, but go on Google and look for scholarships for international students, and then just start reading, because different scholarships have different requirements. Just look scholarships for international students, and then you get a list. Just be looking, look what the requirements. Also look schools in US that don't require tuition fee. So, and mostly this is for people who cannot be able to afford, because the school here is expensive. But if you can afford, just apply to, if your parents can afford for school, just apply any big school you want.
Yeah, sure. So can you tell somebody who is looking to apply for F1 visa school here in the US, is it worth it?
Oh, most definitely is worth it, because there's jobs here in America. There's jobs a lot. If you're trying to be a nurse, there's a shortage of nurses. There's a shortage of people who do IT. There's a shortage of doctors, so, and the pay here is good. So the only thing here, is there's a lot of taxes, but I can't complain a lot about taxes, because, the roads are good. So might as well pay the taxes.
If you don't mind, maybe you can tell somebody outside there who is thinking of coming to advance his career in IT, like what is the minimum wage of the IT, like minimum dollar per hour, if you don't mind, generally?
I can't give a definite answer. It depends. It depends with the state you're working in. It depends in what field in IT you're working. There is a lot of fields. You can be a data scientist. You can work in cybersecurity. You can work in IT support. I would say if you're in IT, you should make It's difficult. It's a
Just
difficult question.
minimum. Just you can just generalize. You just give a figure like general.
I would say if you're working in IT, you should make at least 45K a year.
45K.
Yeah. So, but as I said, it depends on state and the level of your skill. You know, somebody can make
Sure.
45K. There's other people making 500,000 a year. You know, there's other people making 600,000 a year. So it's gonna depend on your level of skill. But I'd say at least you should make like 45K a year.
Sure. So you have been living here in the US. What are some of maybe the things you can want to advise people there outside there who want to come over here?
Oh, over there?
Generally, yeah.
I'd say, you know, just know what you want to come do here. Do you want to come here for school? Do you want to apply for a green card like you did? If you want to apply for a green card, just keep applying. Don't lose hope. Keep applying, keep applying, keep applying. If you want to come for school, then it starts with what am I going to come here to do for school? Then I start
What
with,
is that?
Well,
Let's continue.
Because different schools have different majors, so know what school you want. If you have relatives here, ask them if they can host you, because I mean, if relatives can host you, then you save on the cost of living, you know. And they don't have to host you forever. They can they can host you for like 6 months or 1 year before you get your, you know, you can get your stuff together. So if you have people here, talk to them, ask them. Don't be afraid, you know. Ask them. You cannot always ask. The worst they can do is tell you no, but at least you ask them.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think we are approaching to the end of our video.
Yeah, I see even the video says less than a minute.
Yeah. Do you have like any parting shot, something like that you can want to tell our viewers? Like, do you have an advice? This is an advice you can want to tell our viewers.
My advice is whatever you want to do, go do it. And if you want to come here for school, follow my channel. He's gonna post the link. Come ask me questions, DM me, and I can be able to help you from there. But yeah, all I can say is nobody can stop you from getting what you want. Just go ahead and do it. Look for it.
Yeah. Bye and see you.
See you later.
Yeah, God bless you.